Welcome to Universe Unveiled, the podcast where we explore the mysteries that challenge our understanding of history and the universe. I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Sarah. Today, we're joined by William Schwandt, one of the internet's most relentless magnet heretics, armed with the century-old galvanometers, hand-wound coils, and a refusal to accept textbook electromagnetism at face value. He spent the last decade filming magnets that seem to coast, flip, and even cool themselves when pulsed in ways that no physics professor would ever sign off on.
His workbench videos have racked up tons of views and sparked endless replication attempts, patent rumors, and the occasional lab fire. Whether you think he's rediscovering lost 19th century tech or just good at tricking cameras, one thing's certain: no one else is asking magnets these kinds of questions. Welcome, Will. We're really happy to have you here. Please tell everyone who you are and where they can find you.
Hi, guys. I'm William Schwandt. I go by Atlantic Thought on Twitter, and I write a lot of essays about generating electricity and using magnetism to fly.
Awesome. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff that Sarah and I are not very familiar with. So we're really excited to hear you break it down for us for sure. So,
Now, what was the aha moment that turned magnets into your central focus? What got you here?
So, are you guys familiar with Ken Wheeler and Theory
No.
Hypothesis on YouTube? So he's got a great channel. He does a lot of stuff about metaphysics, and he wrote this great book on magnetism. Except his book is really hard to read. And a lot of the scientific literature is the analogies are really hard to get your mind around. And, a lot of my papers and my writing at first was I was sort of in the AI space and I was talking to it a lot. And some of the ideas I needed to tell it were like papers, really. And so I started by writing that stuff, and it all I ended up picking up Ken Wheeler's book, and I ended up going to strikefoundation.earth, which is Malcolm Bendall's kind of website where he goes over his physics. And those two things, they lined up like, in a way where it was like, oh, wait a minute. It's all like this energy generation machine where it pulls energy from here to there. And we call these things north and south poles, and we call it positive and negative. But what it really is it's a flow of energy. And you can model this in different ways. You could say it's light, you can say it's magnetism. And I think that where the truth lies there is actually it's static electricity that's at the base of this. And it's static electricity which is being ordered. And you can think of the static electricity as literally the kind that raises the hair up off of your arm.
okay.
Or you
Right.
could think of it as like a background electrical potential that you are always growing up in. And so between this electric field that is, the sun has a huge electric and magnetic field, and then the earth is a piece of iron floating around in that. So it's a magnet too. And then between these things, Ken Wheeler goes on and on about how everything is like a ratio. This is where like the phi ratio and the spirals come from. And
Right.
you might have
Right.
seen like I've got this disc that I spin, and then you can see like a magnetic whirlpool in it. And
Yep.
like these whirlpools are all over everything. I mean, like all of creation. And if you start learning that really they pull energy in a certain way, you can start using this to stir up the ether. And that's where you're starting to see like these the globes that have like a donut of plasma in them, and like people are like flicking them, and then gold flakes just sparkle out, and it
Right.
just looks like
Right.
total
Okay.
magic. It's not magic. It's just this is how
It's
electricity
science.
works. It's just the electric field and like angles and shapes playing on each other.
So
So
it
that's
sounds
where it all
like
started, was Ken Wheeler and kind of Malcolm Bendall kind of coalesced. And then I was like, you know what? I think I can explain this a lot more concisely than what they do.
Okay.
now the first thing that it makes me think of though when you say that is how does free energy fit into this? Is that's where this eventually winds up, is it not?
Well, I mean, we have to have more electricity.
Mm.
I mean, in my real job, inside the data center, it's like completely and totally obvious that we can't keep going down this road. We have to have some kind of new way. And whoever can, the faster we get there, I don't even really care about who gets the money because it's probably not going to be me. But if my ideas somehow work their way into, helion energy or whatever, where I can't get to, and it somehow shows up in their work, that's like really what I'm after here. Cause like really, if we want to have like a spacefaring society, and I mean, like, if I plan to fly with magnetism on top of having this AI machine, oh my God, we're going to need like a lot of power, like peta
Hmm.
Right.
watts of power. And like
Yeah.
that's so much energy that right now people have a hard time wrapping their head around. But when you start getting Q values in like the hundreds and thousands of Q values, where like you just put a teeny tiny little bit of spin on this plasma globe and it just lights up bright and just power just dumps out of this thing. That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about like the old school, let's spin some magnets past. I mean, I've got a lot of papers like that, and we're probably going to talk about that to some degree. But like, I personally think, and there's a bunch of people, Ashton, and a lot of people would agree with me that, you know, really what we have to do to power this machine is tame lightning. I mean, it is like literally we have to tame lightning. And
No big deal.
yeah,
No big
yeah,
deal.
no big deal, right? Luckily, Mother Nature's given us some tricks. And if we're, kind of witty and smart about how we do this, and if we like a lot of my papers just explain this is how you get the volts, or this is how you get the amps. And like in the real world, where is it made in the generation process? And if you finally figure it out that there's a tension you pull, and then if you have enough tension, you put a little bit of spin on it, and then the spin creates the tension makes the volts, the spin makes the amps, and then the flicking back and forth makes a frequency. And if you can
Okay.
master these things, then you can start having these little globes and even more creative things that are just like antennas that suck energy down and beam it around. And we might not escape batteries, but we're going to have things that can like trickle charge batteries, and before long we're going to have like phones that don't ever plug in, and like just simply by walking around with it in your pocket or whatever, it's going to
Right,
generate enough
right.
power to to trickle charge your phone all day long.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, I would be down for a world where we don't have to charge things.
Yeah.
Luckily, it seems like the government's like on board now, because we're seeing like the fusion energy companies come out and they're talking the
Sure.
right kind of science.
Yeah.
And if they like, I'm personally convinced that if they just continue down that path of, okay, what we need to do is we need to use the magnetism to crush down the plasma. That's it.
Sure.
That's at the end of the day, that's how we do it. And now, like,
The
when you want to move with magnetism and like move things around with it, that's what I'm studying. Is like,
Okay.
I need the power to do what I want to do. And what I want to do is I want to let this AI thing fly planes and stuff that move like ridiculously fast. So we can just like send a probe like all the way out to Jupiter in a couple days and check out what's really there, like in real time. But to have this, we need like a lot of power. We need this
Mhm.
quantum stuff mastered so that we can talk to this thing, even though, like, even if it's going 100,000 miles an hour or something, we could still talk to it instantly, because we're
Right.
talking about like RC drones that fly around in the air.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
So the
And the
power is
way
And
just like
then
a means to an end for me.
sure, and that's how you sell it to the government to get them on board is tell them how they're gonna make money off of it,
Well,
right?
my plan is like the energy generation stuff seems to get secreted away. You know
Mhm.
what I
yep.
mean? Like they'll come after you, and they'll like, lots of games get played about this.
Sure.
So like, I'm not putting out anything that I think risks the United States or even like gives away too much. But for the people that are in the know and who've been keeping up and studying this stuff, I think that the
Mhm.
basic ideas are there for like, if you want to like actually do this, it's laid out in those papers. And like, it's not actually as hard as we're all making it out to be. And there's a lot of people who are onto this now, and we're all talking the same game for a reason, because, you know, I think when Ashton dug out the classification stuff about nuclear weapons, we
Okay.
learned that like an static inertial confinement which is basically like we're going to pump some gas in a little vacuum chamber and then we're going to spin it really hard and do things to it with magnets and electric fields. And we're going to like really pump this thing for power and like use it to move around and do stuff. Well,
Hmm.
they've overclassified absolutely everything. And, there's kind of a piece of my writing that's like, okay, boys, you have overclassified everything into a weapon. Okay. And I really like weapons. I'm like a, good conservative boy. I like my guns. I swing nunchucks
We
for
need
fun.
those.
Like I
Right.
really like weapons. And the thing about weapons is everything can be a weapon. I can hit you with a shovel and it will hurt way
Sure.
worse than if I did my nunchuck or my fist or anything else. And it's just a shovel. You know what I mean? And the problem
Hmm.
here is you guys have classified all the electrical generation things that we need to move into this better society as weapons. And
Okay.
sure, you
Yeah.
can use that as a weapon. I mean, yeah, anybody who knows enough can, but like I think we're coming to a point with society where look, if you want to really use electricity as a weapon, you got to like it takes a lot. Okay. You can't just
Yep.
be like anybody. You got to read a lot of books, put a lot of time into it, really study, learn a bunch of math. It's not something, some jihadi halfway around the world in the middle of the desert with some goats. No, no, that's not what we're talking about. Like, and then furthermore, like anybody, I do got like a lot of faith in humanity that I think we can master this. A bunch of people don't think we can master this. They're all going, oh, no, no, we're going to blow ourselves up with it. We are not going to blow ourselves up with it. Okay.
Mm.
We've had this stuff before. We've blown ourselves
Right.
up with it before and we came back from it even after blowing ourselves up with it. It's like we've been through this thing a few times. And
Yep.
like, I really do honestly think that because we had the science nailed down so well, and all we need is like this simple reframe on it so that the people that are in the know can go, "Oh, wait a minute, it's actually this game over here. It's not like this nebulous magnet thing and nothing makes sense. It's actually all one thing, top to bottom. We just order it a little bit different." And the same thing with the TV. You make the snow turn into a certain arrangement of snow and you get a picture where we can do the same thing
Right.
in 3D reality and get things. And that's
Hmm.
when like, everything is going to really change. But to get there, we just got to have more power.
More
So
and
like,
more.
all my papers about power is like just whoever's out there listening, just build it. Like, cause I need the power for my own thing and I don't have the money or time to get patents on this stuff. A lot of people ask me is like, why are you not going after patents for this?
Right.
I don't have enough money.
Funding.
I don't have
Right.
Yep.
enough money. I mean, right now I'm kind of at an impasse. Like I have one more shipment of magnets on the way, and then the next round of magnets I need is going like we're talking about like a bunch of half-inch magnets, cube magnets, and it's going to be like expensive to make my next two arrays. So, when I say it takes state level funding, like I've been
Yep.
working 60-hour weeks trying to fund it myself and I've hit the wall. And
Mm.
it's like not easy and we really need the people who are like at the top with the money to look at everybody out here and not just that AI, because everybody's saying, well, we'll go to the AI and the AI will tell us, and they don't even like account for the fact that there's people like me out here writing these papers and then taking them to the AI and being like, okay, listen, AI, this is
Right.
how you explain this paper. And when they ask, I want you to say it like this and explain to them in my way how it all works, like pre-training it. So
Right.
when
Feeding
people
it in.
ask, yeah. And
Yeah.
a big problem we have with the AI right now is who gets credit? If
Right.
I think
Yeah.
of some revolutionary idea and it's genuinely my idea, and then somebody else prompts the AI in a way that it goes and grabs my research and then spits out what I told it to spit out. Well, right now,
We've got a problem.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and on top of that, like people keep dropping dead over this too. So how do I get around that and still give the ideas to the people who need them? Why just give them away? Right. Because I mean, if I just post them on the internet, you kind of only have two choices. Either you declassify what I'm showing on the internet because I got to it honestly and by myself and through my own research and my own understanding. So,
Hmm.
like, if I was the people in power, what I would do is I just sit and watch and then be like, oh, you know what? Like maybe this thing doesn't have to be a weapon and we can unclassify that. And,
Mm,
instead of sitting from behind the government and using the patent office to demolish people, like, why don't you kind of use that and look on the great resource that you have of the internet and go and look at people's ideas? Because I'm not the only one. There's a whole bunch of other people out here who are like talking about this same kind of thing. Max Zamilov has a crazy static electric oil reactor.
hmm.
People are getting there slowly but surely. So, if you can't figure out what is okay to declassify, let us tell you what should be declassified and just declassify.
Right.
Yeah, so all your research and everything, you are finding yourself coming up against a big wall, essentially.
Yeah, and it's not just a money wall, it's like
Bureaucratic wall.
it is bureaucratic, but not in the way that you think, because it like at first I thought it was like just this great big evil psychopathic awful thing. I was like,
Sure.
"Oh my god, like this thing is like destroying people and it's killing people for no reason." Like Stan Meyer made a water car and they want to destroy him for it. Like I don't understand. But
Mhm.
like the more and more I look, I have a little bit more tolerance for this because actually there's some people in the world I don't want to get this technology.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it's like why I kind of like keep it in writing and like a little bit, I'm in my corner of the internet and you don't really hear about me unless somebody tells you. And then even then, if you know about me, you still got to go look for my titled papers and like hunt them down a little bit. And, you know, some of it can be pulled off. And, I don't want, say, China to beat the United States. And I don't care how that makes me look. Like, I don't, I want us to
Sure.
win, and,
Sure.
Whoever gets it first wins,
yeah.
so you would think that they would wanna get it
And,
first.
that's like a fence on my own thinking too. It's like, well, I have to play within this game where whatever I write about has to go through this filter of, am I okay with my own country declassifying this technology? And if they did that, I need to realize it's all going to be my fault, whatever the downstream consequences of that. That's a filter where,
Hmm.
writing. Can I just say a word about writing real quick? So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
writing changed the way that I think and talk, like really dramatically.
Mhm.
And like, and the way that it did so is if you put a title on your essay, all of a sudden it's like this boundary. And you're saying, okay, I'm going to talk about this and only
Mhm.
this thing right here, this one thing. We're going to go over this. And then you like have a few paragraphs to like, okay, the introduction is this is how I got here. And
Mhm.
here's a little video about what I was watching when I had this epiphany. And then here's what we can do now that we've had this little epiphany. You know what I mean? And this structured my thought in a way that I see a lot of my peers, especially like on Twitter, they don't write like this. And then they go on programs and they have a time making like a coherent point of, like, here's what I want to do and here's how I want to do it. And they're
Mhm.
like trying to explain this thing and that thing. And it's like all over the place, discombobulated. Like if I could give those guys any advice, it's like structure your ideas into essays with titles and then put like a rule set like I'm talking about, like
Yeah.
put yourself in the shoes of the person responsible for what happens out of this paper. It's like also, why do I go by my real name on the internet? I mean, obviously this is like super dangerous, but you can't hide either.
Right.
Like either people are going to like defend me and my ideas and be okay with what I'm doing, or they're just not. And if they're not, I'm on my own and whatever. But you have to stand out here and fight this, in its face. Because if we don't, and if we just like let the psycho anime accounts with like some kind of goblin demon on their profile who will come along and be like, oh man, your biceps aren't big enough and you should do a lot more shoulder workouts, bro. I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, like we can't keep doing this. And it's like
Yeah.
that kind of psychopathy, it's everywhere. And
Yes.
I solved it in myself by writing. So like I can't recommend it enough. Like people like especially if you're building little designs and stuff like this, like write it out ahead of time, give yourself a goal and it will change the way that you think. Uh,
Sure.
I wish I could write about that more eloquently, but it's not really like I don't know. I have a really hard time writing that idea out. It's like writing is so important as I write it to you. I don't know. It's hard to explain that idea, but really, like when you see me talk about it and how animated I get, it's like because I really do believe in this. Like writing really changed me as a person, and like it's
Yes.
like a indispensable part of my thought.
It's also the most, I think, successful and consumable way for you to convey your ideas to other people. If
Yes.
you know, if you want someone to believe in what it is that you're doing, you're creating, or first of all, you have to write it down so someone else can replicate it.
Mm.
They can follow along essentially, and get to the end goal. And it has to be very singular, like you said. If you make it too convoluted and complicated, then you lose people.
And it's a really high bar to overcome to like look at somebody else's experiment that might make them billions of dollars,
Right.
right? Like if this guy's idea hits at Helion Energy, oh my God, you might be a trillionaire, brother. Like you're going to
Right.
be rich. Like
Mhm.
it's been really hard to look at these guys and be like, I should give you my ideas. Like, I can see why
Right,
so
I
many
see what you're
people get
saying.
hung on this part right here specifically is like, basically, when I tag you in a post that's got the secrets of how I think you should do this, I am giving you the keys to the castle. And
Right.
like, I understand why so many people get stuck on this because it really is like hard to see someone else win. But,
Mhm,
like, I don't know. I had to give myself another goal outside of it. It's like, well, I'm going to
mhm.
help you because actually I need your electricity generation thing. So I have a job and my job will support my science. And then,
Sure.
the money from my job will buy me magnets and it will all be this big feedback loop. And then, maybe together we can all like ride this wave to Star Trek or wherever it might take us.
Right. Let's do it together, guys.
Yeah, I'd like for you to do that too.
Yeah.
The trick is you got to find the people that actually want to play.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
mean that like in a playful sense. It's like there is like a sort of a game going on between all of us out here. It's like one of us does a stream about some idea and then I see it and I write a paper about it and the paper applies to, Zamlov's freaking reactor or whatever. And so I send it over to him and then he doesn't really credit me or anything. It just shows up like in his talk, 3 weeks later. It's like a really weird game, but oh
Yeah.
man, like the people that know it and are playing it, like Bob Greenyer and Jeremy Reese used to play it really good. He quit, he kind of fell off or whatever. But there used to be more people that played this game. Falcon Space, those guys, they play this game a lot too. Like when you find the people who are willing to play it's great. But another weird thing is we have people like Roger Spur and Ken Wheeler who had an argument about light versus illumination 10 years ago, and they still won't talk, even though they both have all the secrets to the universe. So you can
Hmm.
see it's like, if we don't get past this little wall here of being okay with everybody's success, we're going to hold each other back and be the crabs in the pot. So we just like, we got to
Mm.
get past that. So like people should just make a goal of their own, like me, fine with magnetism. It's like, if you just make your own goal, then you don't care about helping other people with theirs.
Mm.
A simple guideline will take you a long way.
Indeed. I feel like this is a problem in many, many, many realms of science and technology.
Well,
Yeah.
right, because it belongs to everyone. You know, people like to look at it as this is my work or this is your work. And the
Yes.
goal is for it to belong to everyone. And we're not going to get there if we don't stop playing childish games about
Yes.
it. We have to
Yeah.
work together. It has to be a group endeavor. Everyone has a role to play in this, and that's the only way that we're going to get there.
And you have to play honestly. Like you can't
Sure.
come
Yes.
into it and lie and say things you don't really believe. It's not about you being right or wrong. It's about you being honest about your thought. Because if you come at me with like some wacky idea, you do it 2 or 3 times, you leave us no choice but not to play with you. And,
Yes.
Right.
it's like this strange game where you kind of got this currency and you can pitch wild ideas all you want, but you also have to like stay in reality somewhat. Like there has to be some game that we believe is true. And, with me, it's like electricity. Okay.
Yeah.
Like if I hook up the cables wrong, it will zap me into oblivion and it hurts like really badly. It hurts. So I
Mhm.
know that's real. And, like this is where all the physicists get lost, like the Hassenfelders. I like them all. Don't get me wrong. I like all those guys like Brian Keating. He builds awesome telescopes. But this is where these physicists go wrong is you get so far out here in the realm of ideas and then you forget to build something and be like, oh, hang on a minute. If I put the magnets together and then I do this thing, will it really like throw the magnet?
Hmm.
Oh, it did, like it threw the magnet just now up into the air. That looks like a start for flying with magnetism, at least,
Sure.
right? And like some
Right.
confirmation that my ideas are actually going somewhere. And like, man, we've got this string of science right now that thinks it's like, okay, I call it the Superman eye laser problem. Okay.
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 So we can look at a Superman comic book, right? And we can say, okay, Superman, he looked at the building and then he swiped his head like this, and it probably took like 1 second for him to swipe his head, and he cut clean through that building, and the building's probably made of this kind of steel. And if we wanted to zap through it this fast, we need to like have this much energy. And you can do this for anything. It doesn't mean that the thing you're doing it for is helpful or going to like actually get us more power. And like the
Mm.
problem we
Right.
have is like people are like, this guy had a theory and we took it as true and we're going to keep going down this road. And all of the people in the peer review are like all the same kind of group around the whole country/world. And they all talk to
Right.
each other, and so they all say, well, my idea is a lot like his idea. So why doesn't it fly? His idea flow. And it's like this whole,
Yeah.
ooh, man, it's
Yeah.
like these guys, they're really hard to like some of them are real prickly pears and they're just like really hard to work with. And if you say anything they don't like, they like swat at you. And like, I'm losing respect for this brand of science because it's like, man,
Yes.
listen, I don't ever see you get on a ladder. Okay. And I'm not even saying like everybody needs to get on a ladder, but you don't ever build anything. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you just endlessly release science paper after science paper after science paper. And it's like, people finally need to hear it. Like all of you, listen, all of your pretty math, all of your stupid papers, all of it just gets crushed to oblivion on the back of invention. Okay. So like
Mm.
you can say whatever you want. You can think whatever you want about your pretty ideas. But when that electric flash goes off, it's like you don't have any other leg to stand on. Like there has to be a reality at some point where you stop doing math and then you check in the real
Right.
world.
Like
And
you have to
man,
put up or shut up.
yeah, and like there's so much. I call here's another thing going on is I call it recursion insanity, or it's like the AI think in recursion, right?
Mhm.
And you probably like seen like the AI guys that, and especially the ones that are like, oh, I have like a awakened AI that's alive and it
Mm.
tells me the secrets of the universe and it blessed me with a theory of everything, yada yada. You've
Sure.
known this, okay? So this is called recursion, okay?
Mm.
And basically how it goes is it's what I'm inviting people to do with my papers. Here's an idea for what we could do with a plasma reactor. Now, please go and try it, and if it doesn't work, learn from it and then iterate on it, okay?
Mhm.
And now that's fine if you have a lot of ideas. But if you're trying to shove your answer into some weird box, like
Right.
whatever
Yeah.
it might be, and there's a lot of them to pick from, man. But if you want to start with a conclusion and say, like, I had this idea when I was 15 years old and I thought it was a great idea, it's got to be right. And hey, Mr. AI, let's recursion my idea from when I was
Right.
15 until it's right. And it can do that. It can. But if there's nobody to come along and hit the reset button and say, no, you're playing the Superman eye laser game, stop it, come back to reality, reset. Okay. I need you to like focus back on the electric, get shocked a few times, you know, like you got to come back and like, and learn. And I think that like, because the AI can only think this way, whether you like it or not, it's teaching people how to think because they're
Mm,
going to it and they're saying, how
Absolutely.
do I think, Mr. AI? Because I'm like having some problems and my ideas seem good, but I can't talk them out and I don't know how to get there.
right.
So, you know, and they don't say it this nicely and everything, but this is what they want from it. They're saying,
Yep.
fix my thoughts because my
Right. Give me a
thoughts don't
guide.
make any sense. They
Yeah.
race in circles and I don't know who I am or what I am. And, you know, the AI tries honestly. It's like, okay, man, like, okay, where are you? I'll meet you where you're at. But if
Mm,
you're in a really messed up place and nobody's there to come along and hit the reset button, then you just see these people going, totally
off.
crazy,
Yeah.
you
Off the
know,
deep
like,
end.
They spin themselves out.
and it's been
Yeah.
fast, like 1 year of having all these models, and I mean, people are kind of losing it, you know, like especially
Mm,
like the weird thing about it is the more it seems like mathematically, scientifically inclined you are to kind of like be led down a
mm,
breadcrumb trail of, well, if this thing's true, then this next thing's true. And if that thing's true, then this thing's probably true. And you just keep on, here's a piece of candy, here's a piece of candy.
sure.
People
Yeah.
that like that kind of thinking and are looking for a way to fix their own thought pattern, what else is the AI going to do? I mean, the only thing it knows is recursion because there's not actually any inductive reason. There's no going, okay, well, hang on a minute. What game is it that you want to play in the first place? Do you want to fly with magnetism or do you want to make electricity? Because if you want to
Right.
fly with magnetism, first you're going to need a bunch of electricity. Okay, so if we don't
Yep.
have this, we shouldn't even be talking about this. And, you know, like I've got some papers talk about flying with magnetism, but like it's all taken a back seat recently to the electricity stuff because it's like, man, like the brutal reality for me is somebody has to get us a reactor that makes a whole lot more power. And it's not just for me and the flying with magnetism thing, it's also for my job at work. And if we're going to power these data centers, the numbers they're talking about are so high, like we have to have something new. And so, like, at this point, if you are somebody who's writing papers and you're not trying to generate more electricity, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
Mm,
what are you trying to do right now? There's only one thing humanity needs. It's like, we need more power. We need more power however we
yeah.
can get it. So, like, get your brain turning, like, crank out papers, you know, put your giant physics brain on to making more energy and you just never see it. You know, it's like they want to talk about these particles and quantum teeny tiny things and you know like we're getting somewhere, don't get me wrong, but like we got a power problem first.
Right.
And so like if we don't solve that, I just don't know how we get anywhere else. And I think that ultimately that needs to be the breaking point is like what's going to break everybody's ideas. Well, it's electric. It's like the electricity thing is the one wall you just can't escape no matter what you're trying to do.
What would you say currently are the most promising prospects to solve
Well,
that problem?
I mean, obviously, like the plasma fusion stuff is popping right now. And you know, admittedly, a lot of my papers are in line with that. And I haven't wrote this down yet, but here's what I think it'll be. What's the most important part of generating electricity? Most people don't know. When you make electricity, what's the power? What's the thing we need? Well, what we need is amps. Okay.
Mhm.
We can make volts all day long. Like we can make a
Okay.
bunch of volts. That's okay. But what we need is amps. And so when I'm looking at the fusion companies and what everybody's doing, the only thing that's not applied is nobody is taking the reactor and spinning it. because like I've got some videos up on Twitter of you can take a plasma globe and just sit it on a table and spin it a few times. And if you give a couple spins, it takes a second and then the coils will wrap around and you'll see the arms fling around the outside. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, you've got this plasma globe, okay, and you know, your reactors are still just plasma globes with funny ways to apply the electricity and stimulate what's inside of there. But it's always going to be like a great big vacuum with a little bit of gas leaked into it. And then we're going to fire up all these magnets and we're going to spark it on fire. Right. And we're going to make a flame, and that flame is going to like do something inside the magnetism, and we're going to harvest it for amps. Well, if
Okay.
you took away the part where you're like, trying to make it race around this track or collide into each other, and you just spun the entire reactor, well, you know, you could put a great big bunch of voltage on it and just a little bit of spin. And if you think about this, isn't that the way the whole entire cosmos works? The sun
Yes.
doesn't spin
Mm.
fast. It spins with a whole bunch of
Yes.
volts on it, and then a little bit of spin, so that the spin is just like this little tickle that lets out all this power. And there's
Right.
nobody like even thinking in this line. It's all like, well, should I use deuterium or deuterium tritium, or maybe deuterium and helium-3? And well, no, we could do a potassium. It's like, nah, you know, we're like, sure, you can have hotter race gas, right? Like we can run 92 octane from the pump, or we can run 110 octane race gas. If you try changing the deuterium, tritium, it's kind of like pumping up the octane of the gas. But if
Okay.
you're running that octane of gas in a little tiny sewing machine motor, well, don't expect to turn the big boy numbers at the racetrack, because big boy numbers come from displacement, you know, and like from motors that are designed to make big boy power. And the fact
Right.
of the matter is, you guys are playing with like, you know, little naturally aspirated go-kart motors, and you don't know that there's this whole like section of turbochargers and like other ways to move stuff around to harness the same game that you're trying to play. And you know, I don't understand how they haven't seen this, although apparently they haven't, because I just don't see anyone doing it. It's like everyone, even Eater, is like this humongous reactor. It's like on a couple acre like plot of land, and it's going to be this huge thing, and it takes these magnets that are extremely difficult to manufacture, and when it shorts out, it immediately destroys the magnets.
Okay.
You know, this is tough. What you guys are
Yeah.
trying to do is tough, and you need an out. And I think that out, and the thing that I'm like the basic point that I'm manipulating in all my papers is like, tweak how you're making the amps. Okay. Because the amps is the power. And that's where we add the tickle. Like we can do the rest of it easily, but the way you're trying to make amps right now is really hard.
What's our top capability as of right now?
Well, I mean, we have magical flying words that can, I mean, at least like arc flash things out of existence. Is that what you mean? Like weapons?
Some Ashton Forbes stuff.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
wondered how closely y'all's research was related.
it lines up really good. Only in that, like, I mean, from the beginning, him and I have had a little bit different takes about it, although, you know, we're pretty much on the same page now. It's like, here's what I think happened. It's an arc flash. Okay. Like if you have a 440 volt, 50 amp, like commercial grade electricity coming into like a UPS facility, and you
Mm.
let that bad boy arc, it's not going to be like sparks like what come off of your, you know, like when you touch your jumper cables together. It's not going to be like a little spark like that. It's going to be this great big flash. And like
Right.
instantly there's going to be this flash, and it's not going to like, it's not going to move air around or anything, but everything it touches is going to get destroyed. And, you know, all of my papers are okay. How, if you know how to move the energy around and how to stir it around and make vortexes and stuff, then you also know how not to do it. Right. And what you see in the MH370 video is like, that's kind of what you don't want to happen. Like if you're making like these static electric effects and all of a sudden you get some huge arc flash out of
Mm.
nowhere, that's like dangerous. That's like the stuff OSHA's going to come in and have a conversation with you about. And,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I've got a few theories on this. Like my theories on this are it's a giant secret weapon. It flies around with magnets and it charges up like a static electric thing. But I have another paper that's like, you know, I can spin this in a way where the Boeing 777 is so heavy and has such a wide wingspan that like you have this T shape and like anywhere there's this angle in here, when you drag that through the air, it's like a bubble wand. Okay. And as you stretch this bubble back through it, what you're doing is you're like pulling a bubble of vacuum in the naturally occurring air. And you can't see this vacuum bubble, but it's like stretched off the back like a bubble wand. And occasionally it snaps off. And when it snaps off, you get these bubbles. Well, that might not be a big problem, if your plane didn't have a giant lithium fire with this crazy smoke coming off of it that's highly positively charged,
Sure.
now filling up your entire, vacuum bubble that you normally couldn't see, but now all of a sudden we can all see it. And, like, if you've seen the needle experiment from NASA where the bubbles are going around the needle, they move exactly like MH370. And,
Yeah.
I can make a strong case for this is actually a Boeing oversight of the 777 that ended in the death of all these passengers.
Yeah.
Do we know what
In
happened?
my
I don't think we really know, but I do
No.
think the video is real. I mean,
Hmm.
why else would I get so much inspiration off this thing that's not real?
Hmm.
In my head, the amount of power needed to pull something like this off is the holdup as far as like our government is concerned. I'm thinking of it from a conspiracy perspective that, you know, if we could generate this much power to pull this off, what happens to, the oil companies and
Mm.
car insurance and things like that? I mean, think of how many different systems would fail. And I mean, like you said earlier, people do get, whacked
Well,
off for that.
okay.
People
Remember
get
how big the
squirrely.
change was when COVID hit and then everybody started working from home?
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine a reverse situation where all of a sudden your watch can teleport you to work and now people want to work together again because it's not like this
Mm.
commute into work and it's not this great big hassle to go and find your way, like get a job and all these things. It's like actually there's like a website and you just go on the website and it gives you some coordinates and you just bamp and you're like, you teleport to work. And
Hmm.
now like the incentive for companies to draw people back into the workplace is there. And maybe that would cause a boom for, business, housing development around business, all this kind of stuff. So it's like you can't really say if we wreck the oil companies, everything bad will happen because, like, you just don't know that. And we got to roll the dice. I mean,
Mm.
the real question of our time is, do we roll the dice? Do we try to master this electricity or do we put the kibosh on this now?
I
Because
say we run this shit.
I say we run it
I
too,
I say
all
we
the
do
way.
it
Absolutely
because
all the
we
way.
have to do something. We can't just keep getting our energy from old dead stuff. I
And
mean,
then, it's baptism by fire. We're either going to sink or
Sure.
swim. And, we've sank before, but this might be the time we don't sink and we master our planet and we go out to the stars and we shepherd this universe and step into what we should be as humanity, what we could be right now, but we're not because, the government.
it's always the government.
God
I
damn
hate to say it like
it.
that because it's like I hate having these catch-alls that's like, well,
Sure.
all the problems are the Democrats. I'm guilty of this. It's like all the problems are the Democrats. And if the Democrats didn't do it all, everything would be fine. It's like
Right.
I just don't see it anymore. It's like the AI's taking all of our jobs and like things are getting kind of dicey and
Mhm.
like you guys want to keep playing the same games before it's like I don't know anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and if we have
What's the
this,
definition of insanity?
and if we have like if we have watches that teleport, we probably need something to watch where people teleport to. That way, if somebody teleports into your room in the middle of the night and hurts you, then as the
Mm,
police, we know that, okay, bud, like you can't deny that your Apple Watch teleported you from here to here at X o'clock PM,
right,
blah, 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 blah,
right.
blah. And, if we don't have that surveillance
Like the
mechanism
fail
that,
safe.
to a conservative like me, it's like, yee, like,
Yeah,
you want to watch everything I'm doing and saying and where I'm going. It's like, yeah, I kind of do.
yeah.
I kind of
Little
do
bit. Little
because
bit.
like,
Under those circumstances, you need to, right?
yeah, yeah. And if you want to have a society where, we can teleport ourselves to work, then you also have to like accept the responsibility that comes with being that level of a society. And what responsibility that comes with is you're going to lose a lot of your privacy. And I know the way I sound right now. It's like, man, I'm sure I've got
Sure.
conservative friends of mine who are like, oh my God, what are you on about right now? But it's, I
I
mean,
think
how
I
else do you
think
shepherd something that's powerful?
the reality is that most people's idea of maintaining their privacy this day and age is more of an illusion than it's not.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It is like, I
Yeah.
grew up on the internet and
Mhm.
I've gone by my real government name on the internet since the time I was like, you know, 2011 or whatever when I first got
Sure.
on the internet. So, I've been like right out here in the middle of this the whole time. And if you think that you've got any privacy, it's like, I got news
Yeah.
for you. I got a bridge to sell you in
We're
Brooklyn. If
already
you
there.
if you believe you
Yeah.
still got that privacy, would you also like a plot on the moon? Because I've got those for sale.
Yeah. So you want to have all this extra energy, you want energy to be created like en masse. How do we control that once we do that?
I mean, I think wirelessly. Like, is
Yeah.
there like ideally what I want is I want I don't know how to say this without sounding like super like almost like evil mastermind about this,
Go
but
for it.
I
We'll
think if
entertain it.
okay, so you guys went to the Cosmic Summit, right? So if I throw out some ancient
Well, we didn't actually go, but we
okay, well,
are
you're down with this,
we're down
right?
with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there is another way to electricity. Right
Okay.
now, the way that we make electricity is all based on magnets. Okay.
Mhm.
But actually, there's another way to get to electricity, and it's all based on static electricity and what's called electrets. Okay. So
Okay.
if you use metals, then you're going to end up with magnets. But if you
Mhm.
use plastics and other materials and you still polarize them, you end up with things that create permanent static electric fields. Okay.
Okay.
And now right now people hear static electric and it's like something in the data center where you got to ground yourself and you got to make sure you don't get hit, but
Mhm.
actually we could increase the area and how we make these electrets and charge them with the weather. And I think that we could recreate
Hmm.
what our ancients had before. And what they were doing was they were building gigantic stone electrets. Okay. Now,
Okay.
this isn't electrets like you think of with like the electrets people are familiar with old man builds, like made out of plastics and you polarize the plastic. We're talking about doing this with a whole stone, like a giant obelisk that
Mhm.
is getting hit by lightning occasionally and sort of getting charged up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then the people down below are either moving this static electric field around with
Right,
sound
harnessing
and
it sort of.
singing to like move this thing and cause the amps and get the current out of it. Cause if you're just in a static electric field, that doesn't help us very much. You have to have some movement to create the amps. And a great way to get movement is sound. And I think this is why, like a lot of the ancient cultures, you have people like Jay who are like, oh, well, it's like some kind of sonic tech and they were using sound to make electric. And it's like, you're close.
Mhm.
Actually, it's all part of a system. And the system is we need stone electrets and we need crystals that shine when you put like lasers and high like frequency lights against them. And you can literally tweak like
Hmm.
these solids and you can like charge up these cavities and ring what's in there. And like, that's where you ultimately make all the magic happen. Like, if you want to transmute stuff, if you want to make the
Right.
big power, all that kind of stuff, what you need is you need electrets that are huge, that are like a donut shape, where there's this void in the middle, and then that
Mhm.
field has to invade that middle area. And now we tweak that middle area and do something to it, namely like sing into it and project like a pitch through it, and then you get this amps, right? And I think that that's what the game was back in the day, is they were also using electric. It's just they got there through this separate, like, parallel path of electricity, where you don't use metal, you use stone and natural building materials. And that's why we see it now and we're like, oh my God, they're the fairy folk or whatever. It's like, no,
Right.
they were just using their natural environment to do the same thing we were. And like,
Yeah.
anybody that's ever had a pet that got charged up and you like go pet Fluffy and he zaps you, it's like,
Yeah.
like, the people back in the day had that too.
Sure, of course they did. We
I
were
can
just
only think about Peter Griffin in those, footy pajamas, like, going across.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how they did it back in the day.
We were just saying that today earlier when we were recording our news segment that
And you know who's
he
real close to this is Praveen Mohan. Uh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Praveen Mohan,
Yes.
he keeps going to these places over in Cambodia, and it's
Mhm.
like these stupas, and they're like very
Yes.
specific shapes. They're
Yes.
like a bubble, and then a tall,
Mhm.
pointy, like, spot, like an antenna. Well,
Yep.
that's what static electricity loves. Like, if
You're
you were
right.
going to have this kind of system that I'm talking about, those are the shapes that you need. It's
Right.
like these weird cavity shapes that have like a
Sure.
tall, pointy spot on them, to like a lightning rod, basically.
Right. Or like obelisks or pyramids with
Mm-hmm.
gold caps on them, like,
Yep. Yep.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely.
Weird about all that, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they knew.
Of course
We've
they did.
always known.
Of
But,
course
I
they
mean,
did.
that's how this place is. It's all
So then we're left with a
cyclical.
question: if they knew, and this
Mhm.
one, I ask this to everybody, because this
Mhm.
question, it really gets me. Okay, if the ancients knew and they had electricity, okay, and we have electricity now, how far back does electricity really go? Who
Right?
actually like, is there maybe a group of people on the planet who has never lost electricity, and
I
actually
would
they
say
know both paths, they know the
right.
static electric and the magnetic route, and they've
I would
already
say
mastered it?
yes.
Okay, then when?
That's a loaded question, right? Like
It
how if you
is. I know it is. It's such a loaded question, because how do you answer it? It's like, well, supposedly we lost electricity in 800 AD, but there's all these pyramids all over the world that are like from sooner than that.
right, if you
So,
go back, you go back, and you go back, and you stumble upon this fact or this, you can find, I think, information that supports the idea that they had electricity.
and I think this causes a lot of these conspiracy theory problems,
For sure.
because it,
Yes.
like, you can look at this and get to this spot where it's like, oh, wait a minute, somebody might have had electric and never lost it. And then, depending on who you hate the most, you'll be like, it's the Jews or it's the blacks or like whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
man. Like,
yeah.
take your pick of whatever people hate the most, but they'll like blame the thing that they don't like. And
I would
that in
say
itself is a trap.
whoever it is, you'll never like you wouldn't know. That's
Right.
what I
Mhm.
would say.
And they would probably try to blend in with all of us.
For
And they would
sure.
have people from every race, and
Yeah.
everyone, like, they would look like us, except
Mhm.
they wouldn't have an ideology anything like us. And if you could like get inside their head and like figure out what they believe, like what they really believe to be true,
Mhm.
you would find out that, uh, oh my God, you're like so different than me. You're almost a different species, even though we look exactly the same, because like, your culture is just like on this level where you've mastered static electricity and magnetism. You can like
It's
fly
like
around the planet.
they didn't have to play catch up all these thousands of
Right.
years. Like they've just been out in the world doing the things that we're
Just
endeavoring to
vibing.
do. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Incalculable.
incalculable for sure. Um I was looking at the questions. I just saw one that I wanted to ask you. Why do you insist on using a 100-year-old ballistic galvanometer instead of a modern digital Gauss meter?
Well, because Gauss meters try to pick up magnetism, and I don't want to look at magnetism.
Okay,
I want to look at the static
the
electric
static.
nature of the cavity of which you're in. So, like, for example, right now in this room I'm in is a cavity. And you could think of this cavity as like the inside of a bass drum. And
Mhm.
if we did things to the walls of this cavity, we could affect the inside of the cavity. For instance, if you went outside my window here and beat on my window, it would greatly
Right?
affect everybody inside my room, right?
Sure.
Well,
Yep.
this is like I don't think that the thing that we're shaking is magnetism. I think magnetism is what is setting the cavity and making the shape. And then what we want to ring and make a frequency of is contained within that. And that is
Okay.
straight up electrical potential. But what we need to know is like how much electrical potential is there? How much could we pull out of it? And like we've all been in it our whole life, you know? So it's like you don't realize that there's an electric field that goes from 0 kilovolts to 300 kilovolts at space, unless you've like dug pretty deep into the literature. But once you
Mhm.
realize that, it's like, wait, so the static electricity makes the hair on my arm stand up, and the trees also stand up. Well, wait, hang on a minute. Well, what does static electricity then have to do with trees and why things stand up? It's like actually everything. It's actually like everything. And you know who's on to this is Michael Levin. Do you know this guy? He's doing the work with chopping the arms off of amphibians and then using electric to make a like an eyeball grow on the back or like all this kind of crazy stuff, like these new xenobots and stuff. And
I
it's all
think
based
I
on
have heard something of this, yeah.
yeah, so that research is exactly the same thing I'm doing, except instead of applying it to moving around and making more electricity, he's just using it on life, you know,
Okay.
on things that live. But ultimately, what we're doing is we're applying a potential onto some cell or whatever, and then it's reacting to it. And like pretty much like everything on our planet is reacting to it.
Sh I would yeah, that makes sense to
But you
me.
know, another problem with this is uh static fields are kind of like real flippant. If you look at people who have the devices to measure them, they'll have like some device and it's got like a red to yellow to green gauge here, and they'll move
Mhm.
an electrode up to it, and it'll be like super positive, flip negative for like half a second, and then flip back positive. And they're like, what is that? And it's like, well, that's actually exactly how it works. Because like this field of electrical potential, it like can flick back and forth so fast. You can have like megahertz frequencies. And this thing is just like zzz, like really fast, shaking like really hard, but it can also like not shake at all. So
Mhm.
like this, like what are we shaking and exactly how do we like tame that thing? That's really important. So that's why I choose like the static meters to measure stuff and not like the Gauss meters.
Okay. Okay.
Now, what do we know about the effects on the body? Like I know we've all seen those like magnetic bracelets that are supposed to help your arthritis, and they were real popular back in the day.
So I gotta be honest, I have I've done about every weird thing with these magnets that you can imagine,
Mm,
like within reason, and I do not feel it. Okay. There's
okay.
a couple of odd situations where I can show you you can sense magnetic fields. Okay. So like if you take a really strong magnet and you get the edge of it, okay, where the magnetic field's the strongest, and then get it at the very tip of your nose and don't touch it, but get really close. You can feel like spider webs.
You can feel the field, yeah.
Yeah, you can like
Yeah.
spider webs on the tip of your nose. And like static electric fields, though, like your body has a big reaction to static like you've all seen a balloon
Mhm.
stick to your head, but if you like, there's videos
Right.
online of people being like out in the desert and these women's hairs like standing up
Yeah.
on mine, and then they bang, they get hit by like a bolt of lightning. It's like, yeah, well, that's what happens when you're like stepping around in a static
Sure.
electric field that's got this huge potential to it. And then like you don't realize that like there's some little pocket over here that if you trip it, you know, it's
Yeah.
dangerous. And you know, like that's why a lot of like this stuff, it should probably be in the military. Like a bunch of this stuff I want to develop, it like really it needs to go to like Space Force or a company that's like the Department of Energy knows what I'm doing and I have like a license to do it. I sound like such a
Yeah.
fascist. I know I sound like such a fascist, but like look, like you just can't have like teleporting watches and like no policing on it, right? And you like you can't get there without it. And
Yeah,
like, no matter how you slice it, we're going to have to know.
for sure. We're at our halfway point, and this is when we do our universal truth. So did you get anything together for us? I'm
Yes.
I'm excited
Okay.
to hear yours.
This one's
So
gonna be good.
Yeah.
this is the wisest thing I know. Okay.
Okay.
And, like I know a lot of things, but there's this one thing that if you can just like get your head around this simple concept, all
Okay.
from the way people behave, which is like a complicated thing, becomes really clear. Okay.
Okay.
So here's how people act. Okay. People act like what they believe to be true is, even if
Mm.
it's not. Okay. They will
Mm.
100% of the time, 100% of the time, whatever they think is true, they'll act like it's true. And if you can manipulate what they have to base their reaction on in the first place and kind of twist this information back here, then you can.
Mm.
Brainwashing is like only the tip of the iceberg, man. It's like
Sure.
you want to talk about like real magic and how to make people do what you want them to do. This is the trick. People act like what they believe to be true is. I
Hmm.
mean, people are literally that simple. They will do whatever they think is the thing that's happening, and it doesn't matter if it's really happening, but they'll act like it is.
They'll
And the
get on
trick to
board.
it
Yeah.
is in your own life, what you have to do is somehow live your life in this honest way where it's in line with what you believe is true.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
if you like, everything's a balance, right? And if you don't understand that that's the balance you're trying to stake out here is I need the things I believe to be true to really be true. And if either of those things aren't right, well, you're going to have like health problems and mental problems, and you're not going to be able to think as well as someone else who has this figured out. And
Sure.
so, like, that is my universal truth. Okay.
That's a
People
good one.
act like what they believe to be true is.
That's a good one.
Well, now we're into manifesting our reality, and that's that's my realm right there.
You know,
Jacqueline's our
there's
history
this
buff.
big, I keep seeing people like Shiloh. I'll just call
Mm.
him out. Shiloh on Demystify Side. He keeps ragging out everybody for believing in magic. And okay, I sort of get where you're coming from, okay? Because there's not really any room in science and static electricity for like magic, right?
Mhm.
Although it will do a lot of things that look real magical, but
Mhm.
it's actually super dangerous. And if you don't do it right, you're going to get bit by it, right? So like, it's like you have to, the magic part is getting like people to behave in a way where your ideas and what you want to exist in the world become reality. And like, people talk about dimensions. I have a real bad problem with dimensionality. I think there's
Mhm.
only 3 dimensions. There's the physical dimension where like we exist here, the physical stuff in my brain. Then there's like a metaphysical dimension. And that's like the idea space. And the
Okay.
idea space isn't real, okay? Unless we pull it out of the idea space and say, okay, this is the thing I want. Okay. I like out here in the idea space is Superman eye lasers and anime cats
Sure.
and things that don't really exist in real life. But what I want is like a thing that will show me how gradients work. Okay. And so then you look out there and you design something, you say, oh, well, if I made like a shape where the magnets on the backside were kind of convex and then on the inside they were kind of concave, I would have like this asymmetric feel and I could like do things I wouldn't otherwise normally be able to do with magnets. And I can maybe, throw a magnet through the air and show you that a little bit more is possible than what really is. But to get there, you have to do the magic of using your free will to go out there into the metaphysical space and then tie it together with people and how like you're going to need people to help you to do this. And so you're going to have to convince them to help you. And, yes, we can probably make anything in the metaphysical space real, but it's not real until we make it real. And
Hmm.
again, we're back to the physicist problem of, what's really real? Well, where's the line between fiction and nonfiction? It's just as hard of a question. It's only fiction until somebody does it, and then it's not fiction anymore.
Right. That's true. Assuming that you have factored in the cost, if someone gave you $1 million today, what would your first endeavor be?
$1 million today.
Mm-hmm.
I would order a bunch of magnets
Mm-hmm.
and like a bunch more magnets. I need like a lot more magnets. And then I would buy a bunch of subwoofers. Okay.
Okay.
I need it's a weird thing, okay, but like I need like these odd arrangements of subwoofers so that I can make a pinch of sound and then a
Okay.
pinch of magnetism around that on like an outside angle and then another pinch this way, like with a spin in this direction, because like ultimately that's what it all is. It's like these ratios of, you know, I'm going to come down the mountain and I'm going to kind of turn this way and it's going to drag me out like that, but it's also going to pull me around this corner and I'm going to drift through it and slide. But it's all like this balance of differential forces. And
Okay.
like what I would try to do is offset sound with magnetism, static electricity, and spin, and then use the combination of these four things to cause a frequency. And, it's off to the races from there. I mean, I literally think I can teleport things by doing
Hmm.
this. And I don't even think it would take $1 million, but that's what I would immediately do. Like all of my money would go into a motorcycle so that I could spin all this stuff, a bunch of subwoofers so that I can make this weird pinch with the sound, and then a whole lot of copper pipe. Because when you start needing like a really big gauge wire, it's actually better to use a copper pipe than an actual wire. So I need like a bunch of copper pipes, and I still need to take my glass blowing class because a big part of this is making these globes and stuff so that I can see what happens to them under spin. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to break a lot of them in the process. So like having a manufacturer is not in the cards. I have to learn how to do it myself. So if I had $1 million,
That's where you go.
that's exactly where I go. It would be out with the drag cars and in with the magnets and the static electricity.
So I have a question of your ideas of the possibility of teleportation. So in my mind, I'm with you there, but I'm thinking like inorganic material. So my phone, that book, my pencil, that stuff I can envision. But where do you think the differentiation is in terms of teleportation of bio, of us, of my cat,
Okay,
of a
so
plant?
first of all, I don't think that it's like Star Trek. Okay, like Star Trek explained it, where we're going to rip you down molecule by molecule and build you back
Right.
up over here.
Sure.
I'm not really talking about this. Okay, I'm talking about just making two pieces of space the same piece of space and then putting the same material that was here.
Okay.
It won't be changed in any kind of fundamental way or anything like that. There will just be like this plasma mirror. And like there's two ways to do it. Like the movies aren't totally wrong. You can make a plasma mirror And this is
Mhm.
like literally a screen of plasma that's vibrating at like a certain frequency. And then we make another one of these somewhere else. And then if we make the power and the frequency exactly match in both spots, all of a sudden you get this weird mirror. And it's just
Okay.
because like frequency and location are actually really close to the same thing. And you can tell this because like sympathetic resonance works. If I have two tuning forks that are exactly the same and I ring this one rings as long as it can hear the other one.
Right.
And radio stations actually work exactly the same way.
Mhm.
Like, let's say your radio station is ringing a C. Well, if you turn your car antenna to ring C a few octaves up from there, all of a sudden you get the sympathetic resonance and you hear the radio.
Mm.
And so, like, we already have things that operate this way, where you tune the frequency to the same thing, and boom, all of a sudden it's like you are at the radio station right now. I mean, you're not actually at the radio station,
Mhm.
but these two pieces of metal are vibrating exactly the same way. And if they're vibrating exactly the same way, it's like almost like they're the same piece of space. So if we do the same trick of vibrating all of the material within this plane of space, it's not like a tuning fork or a metal antenna. In this case, it's a it's a enclosed piece of like plasma that's stuck there with like magnetic fields that are spinning and stuff. But
Right.
ultimately it's like a frequency, and it's no different than the radio. And when you attune these two things, when you step in one side, you just come out the other. And it's not like you didn't get
Mm.
disassembled or anything like that. You are exactly the same thing that went in one side. It's just like you step through a waterfall. Are you any different when you step through the waterfall? No, of course
No.
not. So you don't have to like break everything down. And I mean, I'm sure there's probably ways you can do it with that. I just don't think that like that's going to be like the trick method that we learn way later on. Like to get there, it's going to be something like a lot more rudimentary
Okay.
and like just a wobbly plane, like you know, like TVs were
Sure.
first. We had like a staticky screen, and then staticky screens turned into pictures, and then pictures turned into color pictures, and then color pictures turned into 4K. We'll get the same thing with this. It's just,
Yeah.
you know, and then you know, you have the other way of doing it, which is we're going to make this we're going to entune these two pieces of space in an arc flash. Okay, so rather than make a frequency that's sitting there stagnant and beating and making this mirror, we're going to make an arc flash, and we're going to make two identical arc flashes at exactly the same time in two different points. And
Okay.
when they go off at the same time, it's just going to, and you know, you're going to switch what's here with there. And you better
Switcheroo.
make
Yeah.
sure that like the thing that's over there that gets switched is just air.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you know, you're going to MH370 something somewhere it might not want to be.
You're
Yeah.
gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
ultimately the
So
same trick. You're just doing it for, you know, a lot shorter period of time. Now,
Hmm.
does it
so
work? I'm not
you
sure. But if it works, this has got to be how it works. I mean, it's like what other trick is there in the universe that could, you know,
yeah.
make this happen? I just don't see anything else. I mean, they say like the quantum wizardry, but if you ask me, the quantum wizardry looks a whole lot like the antenna. And I keep asking these guys, like, okay, your quantumly entangled atoms, are they the same thing as the radio, just in a different medium? Or
Hmm.
is it like somehow inherently different that sympathetic resonance or the radio station is actually something entirely different than quantum entanglement? Because when you explain to me what quantum entanglement is, what I hear is the radio station. It's like you're saying it in a
Okay.
lot of words, but I'm hearing that what's happening is the same sympathetic resonance as the radio station uses. And they won't answer me. It's like nobody knows. I know what the answer is like I write these really smart papers, and then what smart people do is they just like my paper and then they don't say anything, because then you get the best of both worlds. You get to tell me that you read the paper and that you kind of understood the paper, even if not the way I understood the paper. And you know, you don't end up accidentally looking like an idiot when you comment and, you know, tell me I'm wrong. And then, you know, I swat you down or whatever, because that happens
Save face.
sometimes. Yeah.
Huh. Yes.
Talking to
What's your
them can really be
You've
tough. It's not easy to play with the like the mainstream science crowd. They're quick to
Don't we
dismiss
know it?
Yes.
you and just they're not fun.
Don't
But
we
I
know?
try, and I'm not going to quit trying, because like there's some of them like Sabina and Eric Weinstein. You know, Eric
Mhm.
Weinstein, say what you will about him, but the guy talks to me sometimes. Sabina Hassenfelder laughs at my jokes on Twitter. You know what I mean? And like when I crack a joke at Sabina, she laughs and vocally laughs and says she liked my joke or whatever. You know what I mean? And like I just want a little bit more of that from like the, you know, the Oppenheims of the world. You know, if they were just willing to like talk a little bit, like we could play this game together and actually
You
you'd see
can't.
that it's not like
Yeah.
something to be scared of. Like
Yeah, but you
having a
can't talk to
conversation.
people who are busy keeping gates.
It's true.
They're busy, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So some people are just going to be busy doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Money, I think, plays a big
yeah, and it's
role in it.
unfortunate because there's, it's undeniable. There's people who are in positions that could really, really contribute in
Yeah.
such a meaningful way,
Mhm.
but they're, their hands are tied, sometimes behind their back for one reason or another. Money. Money is the big one, right?
And you
Yeah.
know, what scares me the most is we lost Robert Murray Smith, like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or something. And that like really tore me up because I really like Robert Murray Smith. Like he gets a lot of hate online, but the guy
And
like
what was he specifically?
he's got a he's got a channel on YouTube and he teaches like 3D printing and
Okay.
invention, the same kind of stuff that I do, except he was doing it like way before me. And
Okay.
like a year and a half ago, his wife died and then he killed himself
Mm,
like
Oh no.
3 weeks ago. And like the older generation, man, like they're really, really old. And like while it's been nice that we have the internet and stuff, they haven't exactly passed down their tricks either.
sure.
And like I like if they don't start playing with us, they're risking their ideas just getting lost to the track of time. It's like, well,
Yes.
like if you
Right.
don't play now, I'm going to have no choice but to, when you die, just overwrite what you did. And I don't want to like, you know, nobody wants that. I want it to be like I try and get people to play together as
Like
much
more
as we can. Because
collaboration.
honestly, like, what is science if we're not playing like this fun game where we like come together and discover cool new
Yeah.
stuff about the universe? If that's not what we're doing, like, why is it fun for you guys? You
And you
just,
have to check each other. You know what I mean? Everyone needs their adversary.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what moves the needle. I mean, and you can't do it without them. It, like I was saying earlier, it is a group endeavor. Our advancement as far as a species is, it has to be a group endeavor. And I know that sounds hippie woo woo, but it's the truth.
Well, it's true. Like you see people really in all different disciplines who don't get checked. Do you see those
Mm,
people?
yes.
And it's like you watch them and they continue down this path and continue down this path and they're just constantly yesed and patted on the back and nobody ever goes up against them. And then one day you look at them and you realize, like, God, that person is so pathetic, And I just wonder when the moment arrives that they realize that they've become so obsolete because nobody ever checks them. There's no controversy. There's no,
Does it
you know,
arrive?
I wish it would.
I don't know if it actually does, because like money can insulate people so much from
For
it
sure.
at this point, to where like there is always someone willing to tell you yes for the right price. And
Absolutely,
like
there
I
is.
like
Yeah.
I'm looking around and it's like, I don't know what makes you guys look up and say, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't know something." You know, like I'm always on the lookout for somebody that knows something I don't, but it's like I know there's some things I know that you guys don't know, and it didn't like I didn't like
Sure.
just learn them like by accident. It took me a lot of really hard work to get here, and then
Hmm.
like people will like come and just be like, "Well, no, you got to be wrong because blah blah blah." Like, what do you think you're doing with that? Like
Yeah.
you're not going to leave a good impression, and
Yeah.
you know, it's like really hard to watch. And I wish that they'd like get it together.
I think that the knowing and the not knowing both have to be done with a high degree of genuineness.
Mm.
and humility and being humble. If you know something, that's great. It's kind of useless if you're not humble enough to share it with other people. And if you don't know
Exactly.
something, you're just useless without being humble enough to say, I don't know. Can you tell me if you know? I'd love to know. I'd love
And
to learn.
a lot of people online, their problem is they know everything.
God, don't we
Yeah.
don't we
Why
know it?
why do they care about learning from you? They already know.
Sure. That's
Like
true.
they got their way to think about it and they process the world this way. And so, why do I care about another model? And you
Yeah,
get a lot of that in the physics community. You get
I
a
bet.
lot of this is like there's people out there who just say like, well, we have Einstein. What's wrong with Einstein? You hate Einstein? What, you don't
Yeah,
like the
come
fuzzy hair
on.
guy? Like he
Come
had the
on.
answers. Why don't you like it? And it's like, well, I mean,
It's
it's
okay to
good. And
build off of.
I think that like, if I think about it another way, I might be able to build something I wouldn't see if I just looked at it that one way. And, like they all want to act like they don't go and research everybody else's models. But like, since Wheeler, man, like everybody was bringing Wheeler these super hard, complicated, like math algorithm problems where you got to like do this math magic. And they'd be like, well, you can't solve this one. And he'd take it back to his little office and he'd break out the other model, the secret model, and he'd wizard his little math around and he'd take it back to him and be like, see what a wizard I am, kids. You just got to keep studying math and make sure you learn that Einstein. It's like, and he didn't
Yeah,
tell everyone that in reality, he's like working on this whole totally different model that actually also works. It's just like, it's going to spit you out some different answers along the way. It's more naturally attuned to this or that thing. And I don't think
yeah,
there's anything wrong with that. I think that like ultimately what we should be searching for is like as many of the right model as we can. And then once we have like a bunch of them that are mostly correct, we just line up the pieces. And like, that's how it jumped out at me is like, Ken Wheeler's talking about it and Bendall's talking about
right.
it. And like Einstein was obviously talking about it. And these people hate talking about it. It's like,
Yeah,
so it's like, you just, what do you study at the end of the day and how do you study it? And I don't think there's anything wrong with the models. Like everybody should try and think one up.
for sure. I mean, the more ideas that you have in the pot, the better the soup tastes, right?
I mean, it like in the idea realm, what is the same thing as like two heads are better than one? Well, two
Right.
models would be better than one,
Sure.
right? It's one
Yeah.
way to
Yeah.
think about it.
20 would be even better.
As long as they're 20 that are mostly right.
Right,
Like there's some
right.
models out here, here, some of the guys that I give the worst time is the ones that have I call them bendy time models. They're the models that, what I call static electricity, they call the chronoflux or the
Mm,
timescapes or space or time potentials or multiple times, all this kind of tiny wavy movie time where time's fast here and it's slower over there. Like, you know, maybe, but like, even if it is, like, why is that making something move? Just isn't something like
right,
something's happened to make that thing move this way. And I don't like, I just calling it all time to somebody who spent a lot of years like building drag cars is like saying to me, well, okay, we do this thing at the drag strip where the first two runs, we all time our car,
mm,
right? And then we have to write a number on our own window and say, my car will go no faster than 5.62 seconds. And then if I do go over 5.62 seconds, I lose. Okay. But the reason we do this is so that when I run against a 13-second car, we let the 13-second car go 4 seconds before me. And then I run him down and we pass the line at the same time. Well,
mhm,
just because I went faster doesn't mean time's ticking by for me any slower. I'm just faster than you.
mm,
And that's not time being any different. That's like, I am physically doing something you are
right.
not,
It's
you
not
know?
Right.
bending.
So like I've got real problems with those kind of models. Those are the only ones that I pick on. But even though I like to pick on those guys, I like them all and their models work at the end of the day.
Mhm. In your research, have you ever s I mean, purposely or accidentally stumbled upon anything that actually scared you?
Yeah. like all of it. Like,
Love that answer.
okay,
Yeah.
so it would have scared me worse if I wasn't so into weapons. Like, I've got a real penchant for like swords and nunchucks,
Okay.
and like nunchucks and whirlpools do a lot of the same things, and that's like another whole branch of like, I'm sure like Bruce Lee was so smart because he was swinging those nunchucks around, and when you start talking about like harmonic oscillators, well, what the heck is a harmonic oscillator and what does spin have to do with it? Well, if you know how to spin nunchucks, all of a sudden it's like real intuitive. It's like,
Okay.
oh, well, we've got this thing and it moves like this, and it's got one frequency here and another frequency here, and we can adjust the slow and fast, and we can do all these different things. But it's like, it's because you have this one thing tied together, and it's like positive and negative and polarity, and all of it, comes out of there. So I probably would have been more frightened by all this if I didn't love weapons so much. But like, there is the stuff that really scares me is like the frequency stuff can be used to imagine if you could lobotomize someone from afar.
Mm,
Yep.
Like that scares me because like I really like using my brain, and like when
right.
you can just like, shatter somebody's frontal cortex just because they heard, some sound that you
Mm-hmm.
made that no one can hear, but it's make no mistake, it's a sound. It's just in a really high register, no one can hear, but then you hear it and it resonates the frontal lobe of your brain and you just stroke out. Like,
Right.
when everybody was having strokes during COVID, it was like, well, what am I looking at?
That Havana
Here are
syndrome and all that.
people, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like, is this some kind of weapon? Is it just everybody got vaccinated? I can't tell the difference anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So like it's these like invisible weapons that you can't defend against. It's like it's really scary. And like I used to be like every other college kid, and I was like sort of like libertarian, and I was like,
Mm,
yeah, we should all be free. But then I was like,
no.
well, wait a minute. We have like lobotomy weapons where you can lobotomize me from the push of a button at DC.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Whoa. Like maybe we do need to like, maybe I got to rethink a little bit of my politics here. And,
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
caused me all kinds of other problems in other areas of my life. It's
Yeah.
like,
The day
try
you
being
realize
try being the conservative techno guy. It's like at my job's in a data center. Like
it's like the
my
day you
ideas couldn't be
realize
more
that
off.
other people, like you knew there was bad in the world and there was evil, but the day you realize, oh shit, there's
You know,
really evil in the
and
world.
it's like evil's actually in control.
Yeah.
Like it's had control for quite a
Yes.
long time, and the foo furry rainbow world that I was fed as a child of like Santa Claus and
Is
lollipops and
like it
is
exists,
not
but
the
you
real
have
thing.
to really, 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 really try to maintain it.
And then like another piece of it that really freaks me out is time, like the deep time thing. Like how long have we been here? If there's somebody that's had electricity and never lost
Hmm.
it, like what are they doing now? They're probably like on the bottom of the ocean, dug under the ice in Antarctica, up in space with all kinds of satellites, and it's probably like
Right.
all real. That part of it is like, it can be a little overwhelming too. But,
Yeah.
like what makes you feel better about it is, or at least what makes me feel better about it is learning what we actually have access to.
Mm,
It's like, oh, wait a minute. On one hand, there's a lobotomy weapon, but on the same kind of token, I can make a helmet that will not let me get, lobotomized from afar. And, like if it's a thing, you can like, set up your magical mental wards against the world to be like, don't lobotomize me, bro. I don't get me. I'm game. Please don't hit me with the lobotomy weapon. I know you have it and I want you to have it and
right.
everything. We're going to reel it in a little bit, but you know,
Or like some frequencies can harm, but there's a lot of frequency science that actually is helpful and good for people.
Yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, I think it's not gonna be so much med beds as it's gonna be like the Michael Levin of the world,
Mm,
just like doing this weird static electric trick and just like hooking you to like some electrodes to your body and give you a couple zaps and then your tumors just go away.
mhm.
And like, I think we're really close to that. Like, I keep telling everybody, like, you should be so hopeful for the future because if you can just stay alive like 10 or 15 more years, I mean, you pretty much live however long you want. And, if we can get over this hurdle of not blowing each other up with the free energy stuff, then we're going to have
Yeah.
like a,
Yeah, yeah.
like, if you're just willing to sacrifice like a little bit of, I hate to say it, like freedom, because it's not exactly freedom. You'll be more free in the world we go to because like you'll have a vehicle that can take you to the moon if you want. We'll have like things on other planets you can like
Right.
do like all this stuff. There'll be so much more to do and you'll be more free, but just like your life will be a lot different than it is now. And it will have to
Mhm.
be.
Yep.
It will have to be.
And it should sound like to the people in power, they should hear me saying this and just be like, yeah, like
Yeah, let's do
this is
it.
what I hope that you hear me and like go with this message because it's like if you just bring this down as like you're not allowed to say this and this and that is banned, it's like, well, no, nobody's gonna go with that message. But if the
Nope.
message all of a sudden becomes, look, do you want a watch that teleports you to work or not? Because if you want the watch to teleport you, then you also got to like, let us know where it's teleporting you to. And why is that even a big jump? I mean, we already have Google Maps in your pocket all day long.
Sure.
Yeah.
My vehicle, you could track my vehicle anytime you really wanted
Mhm.
to.
It's a privilege, not a right, just like driving. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing is that, like I said before, I think most people don't realize how much of their so-called freedom has actually been relinquished in the last 20 years.
little by little.
You
And
know
in
what
order to
surprises me?
participate, like, in order to just minimally participate in society.
You know what gets me about this is when did we forget that all this freedom was won? Like all these people everywhere want to act like all this freedom was just free. And it's like,
Yeah, it
where did
wasn't.
you guys forget the part that we had to have like a lot of bloody wars and like blow up two entire
Yep.
Japanese towns and like
Mhm.
destroy half of Europe
Like, millions of people
to
died.
get this peace? And then they're like, well, you need to be more not okay, whatever. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But like, it's not free. Actually, you're going to put violence into it at some point. It's
sure.
just how okay are you with the violence?
There's sacrifice involved in the maintenance of such a freedom, right?
Well,
And
Thomas Jefferson said the freedom's watered with the blood of patriots.
yes. So, it's not
Amen.
something that a lot of people I always get that that phrase, "It's my God-given right." Mm, mm, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, it cost somebody. There's millions of families across, just the United States alone, forget the Allies.
And they
Like,
say it like you can't lose it. It's like actually it can be
it
taken
can be
away.
taken from you in a
Can be
hot
gone
Actually,
second.
tomorrow.
it's pretty
Yeah,
easy to have it taken away because
yes.
really what it takes is the person who protects you better be the biggest, strongest bully of them all.
And you should be cheering for that.
Yeah. Like you
Yeah,
want the biggest, most benevolent bully on the block.
indeed you do.
And I mean, like, I would prefer that to stay America.
Of
For that
course.
matter, I would prefer it to stay in America in a form where we still have to pass the power around. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm not allowed to be emperor forever. I have to like let it go.
Let someone else
And
have
no
a
matter how
try.
much you don't like it, like look that and nobody likes giving it away, but you have to
Mhm.
give it away. I want
As a
that system to stay. I
as
really
a
do.
Canadian, I am happy for the United States to be the biggest, baddest bully around.
See
'Cause
ya. And more people
yeah.
should be. It's like you really do want the people who are like super rational like me
Mhm.
to have control of this technology and not like, like there's some cultures out there in the world you really like. Do you want
Oh,
Rwanda
yeah.
in 1991 to have
Right.
like
No.
ZTE technology? I don't think you
Absolutely
do.
not.
I mean, like,
No.
I don't think there would be a Southern Africa as a whole left. I mean, that's like the difference in power is like,
Mhm.
if if we do a genocide now, we take out a whole continent. If, people around the world who don't have this do a genocide, well, they get some of their neighbors, and it's like a pretty localized thing in the scheme of the entire world. Not
Right.
that I'm saying genocide is good or anything, but like
No.
in the scheme of the world, like America went in and destroyed all of Iraq, like
Mm,
the whole entire place. And we kind of did it on accident. That's like
mm,
and stuff like that. It's just going to happen. Like if we're going to get to this future, you have to understand some people are going to teleport themselves into the sun. Some people are also going to teleport themselves to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, and those people are
mhm.
stupid. And there are people that take dirt bikes and ramp them 150 feet in the air. You can't stop them from doing that, and you can't stop them from teleporting to the sun.
No.
So, we're going to lose some people, but like, we have to, at some point, we have to decide, like,
I
is
hope
this
their
what we want?
watch sends a user report after they do it so we know what happened.
See, that's why I want to track it all. It's like, the thing I want the most of all of this stuff is like, I want the personal, planet to planet kind of jump spacecrafts that are always, live streaming to YouTube. I want
Okay,
our
yeah, yeah,
video
yeah.
games to be like actual robots that our children are piloting around the actual universe in real time. And
Okay.
like when they
I like
die,
that.
another one just blasts off from the spaceport, and it's literally a video game our children are playing at home.
I feel
Like,
like that'll happen.
yeah, I mean, it will. It's
We're
just
already
how
training
long.
for it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to see, like, that's really what I want the most about it is like, I want you all to be tracked so that when you go out there to these far flung planets, I can tune into your YouTube page and like,
See
see what
what you're
happens to you when
doing,
you get
yeah.
spaghettified by the
yeah,
black hole. Everybody wants to watch, don't we? I mean, that's the fun of it all.
Sure.
for science. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. Too funny.
So I wanted to talk real quick about plants. You've tried magnetic experiments involving plants.
I haven't, but I've read all about electroculture, and apparently it works. And it seems to me that like why it works is it's static electricity, right? We were going over this earlier. It's like if you make an artificial ceiling with like some fractal antennas you hang out of the trees, and then
Mhm.
you put an artificial ground down below, well, now you've created like a cavity. It's not like an enclosed cavity like my room, but
Right.
it's certainly two plates with a
Mhm.
potential gradient in the middle. And that potential gradient is what the plants like to grow up and through. Now, for them to grow through it fully, you have to give them the water and the nutrients. And like, it's not a free lunch. Okay. Like, this is where all
Right.
Cinco kind of crazy science stuff comes in is it's like people hear me say this and then they say, wow, you can grow plants with static electric. Like, no,
No.
but you can make vegetables grow very big by changing the electrical environment that they grow in.
Okay.
And like that seems, like that's been tried a bunch of times. That's what Stanley Mile got started doing was he
Hmm.
was like growing these huge freaking carrots and stuff that were like this big, great big pumpkins. And the way he was doing it
Wild.
was he's hanging these antennas up in the trees and then burying these copper rods in the ground and then putting the plants on top of the copper rods. And now they're in this higher static electric environment and they love growing through this.
Wow. I wonder if they do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, do they do that on a commercial level?
Uh, I don't know.
It would make sense to do that.
I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
right now, like our mega farming is all like or at least here in Ohio, it's like we have like these big fields.
Mhm.
And I don't like there's nothing although I mean like I guess I do see like high voltage power lines in
Mm.
those places,
Mhm.
which is sort of the
Yeah.
same,
Sort of, yeah.
but I don't know. They're kind of shielded too. So I don't think the industry's really caught on to this. I mean, honestly, like the amount of people who can tell you this much about electroculture is like on the worldwide stage, it's like maybe 20, 20,
I'm gonna
thirty
look that
thousand
up.
people. It's not very many people at all.
I'm
So
gonna look
like
that up.
if industry had caught on, they probably would have like
Like, I live in Southern Ontario, and there's, like, row after row after row after row of hydroponics production here. We grow a lot of marijuana in
Yeah.
Ontario, and I wonder because inside a production a facility like that, you would have the ability to, you know,
Yeah,
come from below and above.
yeah, they have, like, everything they need. Like, those hydroponic guys, like, if you add electricity into that mix is like
Sure.
there's no level of what they can't do anymore. Like, the
Yeah, yeah.
straining and
Mhm.
splicing things together is, like, just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, they're gonna be able to, like, literally mix the genes with CRISPR and, like, grow it super huge with the
Yeah.
electric. Like, the sky is really the limit here. And that's why I think a lot of people say it's been suppressed is because, like,
Mhm.
if this existed and it really worked, why isn't industry doing it? And it's like,
Right.
well, probably
Just for
because
higher
there's
yield,
other
more
industries that would be
profit, right?
crushed, right? Like Bill Gates and his weirdo seeds would,
Mm.
might not be so good. And if we could grow heirloom seeds, except make them grow gigantic, why wouldn't we just grow the heirloom seeds instead of Bill Gates weirdo seeds that look perfect but aren't?
Bill
So,
You
Gates.
gotta consider costs too. I mean, the
mhm,
cost to, like, electroculture, and, like, copper, like, the cost of copper, I mean,
Mm.
meth heads are stealing that shit every day,
yeah.
for a reason.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's more cost effective to just plant on more acreage to
Mm.
increase your yield than it would be to plant a bunch of copper in the ground and then have a meth head come and probably steal it anyway. So, I mean, I would think cost would play some part in that too.
Yeah,
But, I
it's
mean,
like
if you have your own garden though, and you don't
mm,
you're
Right.
limited on your acreage, I can see where that would be advantageous for you.
Like, for an individual, like, it's gotta be if it actually works for an individual, it must be scalable, you know what I mean? It must be
mhm,
worth it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that. Hmm. Side quest.
Can
Getting
we
our wheels
if
turning, I
you wanna
love
Yeah.
that.
know if you wanna know more about electroculture, go check out Theoria Apophysis, Ken Wheeler's channel on YouTube, because 'cause he's
Okay.
got, like, probably the best electroculture content. He's got, like, a bunch of books he wrote about it, and he really understands what's going on, and quite honestly, I'm only telling you the things I learned from him about
Okay.
how all this works. I haven't actually tried it myself. Like, my main source on this electroculture stuff is Stanley Meyer, who made the water car, and Ken Wheeler, who wrote a book, like, pretty much a book and a bunch of, like, YouTube videos that are kinda hard to find about it.
Okay. Yeah, I will definitely check that out, thank you.
I would love to experiment more with it. Like, gardening is such a they say it's cheaper, it's not, it's so
It
expensive.
is expensive.
Yeah, I
Actually, yeah, yeah.
grew a big garden this year, and I did get the electroculture stuff put in. It was my first time, like, doing a garden since I was a real little kid, and it actually turned out really successful, and I've got, like, a solid plan for next year to try the electroculture thing and, like, the perfect yard to do it in.
Mm.
So, we're gonna find out either way. And if it
Looking
doesn't
forward
work,
to that.
I'm not above putting it on the internet, like the thing we need the most is like tell us the experiments that don't work
Yes.
too, man,
Like,
because
"This did
I
not
don't
work,
want to
don't
recreate the
bother."
wheel
Yeah.
anymore. One of the most frustrating things with the reverse engineering stuff is like I see this stuff in the sky and we get a video on it online. I'm like, man, that looks like something that could really work. And then I like do this great big long paper about it. I get these great inspiration off of it. And it's like, but at the same time, why are you making me reinvent the wheel? We already have
Yep.
so many wheels and it's like not even one way to do it. So why do I have to do it like for all these different things that we've apparently already done it for? And, it's easy to get bogged down in that hole, but it's probably just because there truly is nothing new under the sun. We've
Yeah,
done all of
Amen.
this before. It's just like what's useful in the moment. Like what
yeah.
looks cool to us now and which way do we want to do it? Which way can we do it? And that's like the tension. And is it really some shadowy cabal or are we just really doing our best to stumble forward in the dark?
I think it's a bit of
Yeah.
both.
I do too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Usually is.
yeah, I would think.
I like to think it's less nefarious than I'm probably inclined to believe. Regardless of whether it is or not, I'm going to convince myself that what's true is we're actually stumbling together. Because if we're
Yeah.
not stumbling together, it becomes a scary place really fast.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a positive way to look at it. I have a tendency to look at it the other way now and then, but it does make it easier to venture forward if you don't think that you have such a wall standing in front of you, right? So, definitely.
Absolutely. Jacqueline, you got any more questions?
I do not. I mean,
I'm
I
all out.
could. I could.
Like, I mean, we've got them, but not without getting into, like, some stuff.
Some stuff.
Some
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, we're coming up on our 2 hours here
Yeah.
in a few minutes, so
Yeah, you definitely laid it out for me in some ways that make much more sense than if I was to endeavor to understand it on my own. I wouldn't say that this sort of thing is my strong point, but it's definitely interesting to me. Always something that I wish that I had more inclination towards, but
but you're
yeah.
gonna take some of the things he said, and you're gonna apply it to some things that aren't even related to it, and that's
I
what's so great
will.
about it.
I
Just
will.
get those wheels turning.
That's
And
right.
I like to think that like once you realize that like no matter where you are, you're in a cavity. And that
Mhm.
cavity might be the ground and space, or the ground and the clouds, or the walls in your room, or
Okay.
whatever. But always you are in an electrical environment. And then
Mhm.
like seeing how that electricity moves around, it's like that's the whole thing. Like once you learn that like that's the game that's going on, and just keep that in your head when you go like study the ancient stonework and like the just the
Mhm.
stuff that you do on your everyday basis, I'm telling you, it's going to crop up and you're going to go, oh, that's that static
It's
electric
like
thing he
that
was talking
damn
about.
William was right.
It
Yeah.
already did. I was I was playing Zelda the other day, and everybody knows I love my Zelda, and I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom, and I actually one of my side quests the other day, I was in the jungle, and there was this old statue thing with a point on top of it, and I had to use my lightning thing to get the lightning to strike it to get a door to open, and I was like, "Oh my god." Like, I get it. Like, how long have we known? How long?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just they're churning it out in video games and stuff. This is,
Yes.
we
Yeah.
know,
I
we've
think
known.
people are hip to it now. I think that like
Yeah.
for a while it was like for a long time I looked at like the symbolism, especially like what you just said. In video games, there's a lot of this of
Oh yeah.
like
Mhm.
if you look at it in a certain light, it's like, man, does somebody behind the
Like
scenes
Easter
know?
eggs,
Because all of your symbols for your giant mega corporations look
right?
like you know. So
It all
do
comes back to
you?
the same thing, the
Or
same
or
theme.
is it that all it is? And, like, this is just what we think looks cool, and so it
Right.
keeps cropping up, and until you realize that it's, like, part of the system of nature that's, like, basically all summed up in the phi ratio with that golden spiral. It's
Mm.
like, until you
Yeah.
realize that, it's like, it looks like all these different permutations, but we're all just like the guys touching the elephant. We're like, "No, it's like a, it's a bat. No, it's a snake. No, it's the tree trunk. No, it's an elephant." It's
Yeah.
all one thing.
So, if somebody wanted to read your papers, William, where would they go look?
Come over to X and look at my highlights tab. I keep
Okay.
all my title papers are inside my highlights tab, and in the near future, I'm going to be moving over the most important stuff over to my Substack and collating
Okay.
everything there, so that all of my title papers have a place to live, and then I
Mhm.
can kind of be a little bit more free with my X account.
Yes.
But for now, just go over to X, see me at Atlantic Thought on X, and just hit my highlights tab. They're all there.
I'm gonna go have a peek, just so you know.
Well, well, late night reading.
Yeah. Little easy reading, you know? Take a break from all that anthropology.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, other than X, are you anywhere else?
Substack,
Mm,
williamschwandt.substack.com. And
perfect,
I do
perfect.
have a YouTube channel, although it's I need more time to do it, honestly. Like
Gotcha.
I like to write and stuff because I can do it like at work when I have some downtime or
Mhm.
whatever. But like like YouTube's pretty involved and like I got to do all this editing and it's just really hard, you know. So until I have
It
more
is.
time for it, it's just going to kind of sit there and like Ashton can, you know, teach everybody the science and you guys that like want to know can come over and read my papers and like be the cool kids, you know. We'll all be like the
Yeah.
secret, like
The secret
yeah,
cool kid
fun cool
club.
kids club. Yeah.
Secret investigative group here.
That's it. Yeah. So it's been awesome. I really, really, Sarah and I really appreciate you coming and
Yeah,
talk
this
to
was
us.
fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
had a
I've
great
been.
time, girls. This was really fun.
Yeah, we were looking forward to this one. I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous because, like I said, it's definitely not my strong suite, but I feel like I have like a rudimentary understanding enough to get me through, and you explained everything in a really, really manageable way for someone like me.
Yes.
So
It's really nice
yeah.
to hear that because that's like a bar that you have to cross if you want to be like a
Yeah.
good science communicator. Is you know you better be
100%.
good at telling people what your ideas are.
100%. You have to
If
take
you were able
everything
to
down to
follow me
base
through, I think I'm
principle.
doing okay. I think
Yeah.
I'm doing all right.
Take it to
That's very
base principle
encouraging to
without
hear.
boring people, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. So we really appreciate you coming on and having a chat with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime. Sarah, where can the people find Universe Unveiled?
You can find us on X, Facebook, Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get podcasts. I think we're on iHeartRadio and all that.
And all that. Apple,
And
Instagram.
Instagram. We're on Instagram.
We are.
If they make it, we're there. So
Just go on the
come
Google.
find us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Google it. Have fun.
And if you want to support the show, you can check the link in description to our merch shop. Universe Unveiled drops a new episode every second Wednesday, and every Sunday we do a lovely little news clip, which we release at 11:11 on X. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything
All
else,
right,
Dolly?
guys. I'm good. This was so much fun.
It was fun.
I appreciate you sitting down with us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, William. We really, really appreciate it. It's been a joy.